Everyone wants to have their tuchus caressed and their rump contoured. Two of the best entry to mid-range level gaming chairs are the Respawn 110 and the Killa Bee 9015. Which one of these leather bad boys is going to caress your back and crack the best? Let's get it. If you've ever owned a gaming chair that hurts your buns, go ahead and hit that like button. So first off, I want to start out by saying both of these are fantastic chairs. I have owned the Respawn 110 for about 8 months now, and the Killa Bee I just got a couple weeks ago, and it is a very, very good chair. However, I will say there are very, very distinct differences between these two chairs. They both retail for about $160 US. However, you're going to find them both constantly running promotional sales and whatnot. Speaking of which, down there in the description below, there is a $15 off coupon. Wow, that was like a little speed bag there. For any product in the Vanbo, Von Racer, or Killa Bee store. So for the longest time, the Respawn 110 was kind of the entry-level bad boy that showed a lot of chairs in the $300–400 range, such as Alienware, such as Secret Labs Omega, such as Corsair. They had all the same features for half the price. Padded armrests, fully reclining, flip-out footrest, adjustable lumbar and neck support, high-quality leather, aggressive racing seat bolstering and design, and even features like a vibrating backrest for your old crunchy back. Now, I will say right up front, I have tried many chairs in the $300 to $500 price point, and I personally, for my rump, my tuchus, my back, my neck, my arms, I don't really feel a huge difference between a $160 gaming chair and a flagship $500 chair. I do, however, feel a strong difference coming from a $80 Amazon Basics generic nameless chair that I started with to something like the name brand Respawn or Killa Bee. Now, granted, these names might not scream premium quality and whatnot, but the materials by no means feel cheap, and the comfort, which in my opinion is the most important part of a chair, is top notch. So comparing these chairs side by side, they both do retail for $160, as I mentioned. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the materials, the build quality. And honestly, I have to say they both feel very, very good. However, the leather feels a little bit higher quality on the Killa Bee over here. Not by much, but the leather just feels a little bit softer and supple. I'm not saying it's some Italian Napa leather or anything like that, but it definitely is real leather. It's certainly not pleather or leatherette. It's definitely leather, which is good because a lot of those cheaper chairs in the $80 to $120 range are generally vinyl, polyester material, and literally use about 20% or less actual leather. Now, as for looks or cosmetic, as you can see, there is a more aggressive design with sharper bolstering in the Respawn, which I do have to say looks very good. If I were to compare both these chairs, I think they both look very good. They have that gamer style, if you want to call it that. Everything short of having RGB piping along the sides. But honestly, the Respawn looks a little bit better in my opinion. They went a little bit more aggressive with some of their coloring, and I do like the fact that there was a white and black version. I did go with the matte black for the Killa Bee, as they had red, blue, yellow, pink, green, but no white option. It would be kind of nice if I could get this piping here in white to kind of go with the two-tone Stormtrooper theme I've got going on. But honestly, I have to say this chair looks phenomenally, and if you go with something like matte black, it'll go with virtually any setup, any theme. So while both of these chairs look fantastic, I would have to say the Respawn looks a little bit better, which I know is completely subjective because looks, cosmetics are literally on an opinion to opinion basis. Everyone's going to see a chair differently. Some people might think this looks way more handsome. I personally do think the Respawn does look a little bit better. However, I will say I do like the carbon fiber design they went with here, and also the red stitching. Has a really, really classy, kind of timeless design, as with the Respawn's a little bit more aggressive, flashy, gaudy, and in your face. Now, as for comfort, that is the most important factor of any chair, whether it's an office ergonomic chair or a gaming chair. It's pretty clear to me, after sitting in both these chairs for several hours, which one is the most comfortable. You guys can probably tell just by looking at them side by side. There's obviously a ton more bottom padding here in the Killa Bee, several more inches, ladies. And while the Respawn is by no means an uncomfortable chair, especially if you are a lighter girl or gal, if you are a larger, wider individual, you want a chair like this that still has that racing design, but it's not as bolstered, it's not hugging you in as tightly, especially if you have a wide frame like I mentioned, and this does have a shoot load more padding in the bottom, and not only is it just thicker, more padding, but not just the quantity, but the quality of the padding used. Right here in the center section, this is some of the most squishy, soft, absorbent memory foam style material I have ever sat in, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not fluffing this up, it literally is incredibly comfortable. I have a $1,700 sectional in my living room. This feels way more comfortable. For a $160 chair. Think about it. But it doesn't just stop at the butt here. That awesome padding actually transfers up into the armrest, which the armrests, at least they're padded on the Respawn. A lot of chairs in the price point of about $140 to $200, which is what I would consider the mid to entry level chairs, have zero padding. They're just rubberized, like a hard rubber material. At least this has padding, but it does feel very, very hard. As you can see, I'm pushing down. There's very little give here, and it also feels like a different material. In fact, it is a different material, I can tell. It's like they use leather up here, and then this is some kind of a like cheaper leatherette or polyurethane or something, which is not great. This is the same exact material that they're using in the back here, and it is so much more squishy that even with my bony little razor elbows, I can dig in like this, and I have so much padding, I'm not bottoming out and hitting the plastic frame, which is sick. Now on both of these chairs, they do have a swivel style armrest, so whenever you actually lean the chair back, as you see, the armrest will swivel backwards with you, so even if you're fully reclined, the armrests are still at a good level for you to rest your hands. Now these both also do have flip out leg rests, which I do kind of like this design, but I have to say it is implemented a lot better on the Killa Bee. This frame feels so much more sturdy, and it is so much more effortless to extend and retract. It just feels like it's gliding along. Not to mention the padding on here is, again, top notch. As we're on the Respawn, you have to really tug it hard, not to mention this feels like, look at how wobbly this is. A lot of times when I pull this out, look at it. I'm not doing this for video effect or anything like that, trust me. When I pull this out, it comes out perfectly straight and level. When I pull out the Respawn, it'll come out slightly cockeyed, or one side will come out faster than the other, and it makes it hard for it to slide along the tracks. There we go. And then also the padding here really isn't bad at all, but it's not as cushy as the Killa Bee, and the materials, again, I think they went with the same material on the footrest that they did on the arms, but it does feel like the actual chair itself, they went with a pretty decent leather. Come on, sweetheart. Now coming down to the base, this is a much more heavy, stable base, and it is also wider too. So if, again, you are a larger male or female, and you want something with a little bit more stability in case you're leading or whatever, the chair is not going to lose stability on you, this does feel a lot more planted. Now as for hydraulic height adjustment, there is not much at all on the Killa Bee. There's probably only about, I would say about 3 inches of height adjustment, which for me is not a terribly huge idea, which for me isn't a huge deal. I like to have mine actually completely bottomed out because this bottom rest has so much padding. I'm already up kind of high. So even running a monitor riser here, my eye level is actually slightly above the center line on my gaming monitor. So I will have to end up lifting up my secondary monitor and then raising up my monitor riser, which is adjustable, to get my primary monitor a little bit higher to where it's level with my eyes. As we're with the Respawn over here, it also doesn't have too much height adjustment, as you can see. About the same, maybe about an extra inch of height adjustment. So if you're a really tall individual, that might be very important for you. But again, I generally keep this one up just a skosh, like that. I keep the Killa Bee bottomed out completely because, again, since there is more bottom padding, you're going to be sitting up higher. And this puts my legs at a perfectly 90-degree angle to where I'm flat-footed on the ground. I have a nice upright position, and if I'm sitting for a long time doing some video editing, gaming, streaming, whatever productivity work I'm doing on my PC, both these feel incredibly comfortable, which is important. Now, while the Respawn 110 is an extremely comfortable chair, and I have no regrets purchasing it whatsoever, when I transition over to the Killa Bee over here, yeah, my butt and back just feel a lot more contoured. Let's get that lumbar pillow right there in the actual curvature of my lower back. Yeah, this feels amazing. You can literally sit in this for hours without your ass cheeks going numb. Now as for the included accessories, i.e. the pillow support for these bad boys, they do both have these adjustable lumbar supports, which do feel pretty good. This one isn't quite as squishy as the Von Racer / Killa Bees. This feels incredibly soft and squishy, and this one also does come with a power and mode button on the side, as this one does have a built-in massage feature with 4 vibration modes: low, high, pulsating on and off, and then also kind of transitioning between low and high at like a random interval. Feels pretty good, but you do need to be wired for that, so you actually pull out this little cable right here and plug it in with the included USB cable. And that's not a huge deal because if it was built into the chair, that would increase the actual production cost, thus making it more expensive for the consumer, having to have a battery attached to the chair, and you would be constantly charging it, as I don't foresee it staying on for more than a few hours of constant vibration use. So for me, when I do want to use that functionality, the cord is very long. I just plug it into the front of my tower on my PC, and I can literally be like all the way back here and there's still slack on the cable. And since I do plug it into the front of my tower, I can clearly see that I am plugged in. I'm not going to like jerk it out of my PC or anything like that. So it is just kind of a nice feature, and if you don't ever want to use that, you just basically tuck that cord up inside the back of the pillow, and you never have to worry about it. And then as for the neck pillows, they're virtually identical. This one has just slightly better padding, but they're very, very similar, and they will allow you to wedge that where your neck is, which is pretty good. And it's more important on this chair because without that pillow, as you can see, my head is basically up over the top here. It is a very short back chair. So having this pillow here, it kind of props your neck up and forward. Yeah, so once I had the pillow on there, it's fine. I don't really notice that the back of the chair is so low. Now on the Respawn, it does come up substantially higher. As you can see, it's almost up to the top of my head, which is kind of nice because even without the pillow, I can rest my head completely up against the back here. That is one thing that I wish the Killa Bee was a little bit higher, just about 2 to 3 inches higher, because I have a relatively average torso, but if you are a long torsoed individual, that might not be the best for you. As with the Respawn, even without the pillow, I can rest my head all the way up against the back of the chair. Granted, that doesn't feel very good. You definitely want to use the neck support pillow. While I do like both of these chairs, and I think if you have between $140 and $170, even anything sub $200, honestly, I think these are the chairs to look at. And even if you have more money than that, like I said, I don't really notice a big difference taking the leap from about a $200 or $160-ish chair to a $400 or $500 chair. They virtually feel the same to me. At that point, you're paying for the name, whether it's Corsair or Secret Labs, and then also just slightly more premium materials. You might get some Alcantara, you might get maybe aluminum instead of plastic on the frames, but in your day-to-day grind, it's not going to feel any different. So while the Respawn does look a little bit more aggressive, this chair to me almost looks as good, but it is substantially more comfortable. So because the looks or cosmetics are only slightly not as pretty, but the comfort is noticeably by a good margin more comfortable on the Killa Bee, I personally do recommend the 9015 as my go-to chair in the entry to mid-range level gaming chair / office chair. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it entertaining or informative, liking it helps it to get seen by more people, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover a lot of news in the gaming community and industry, as well as tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.